The gift of growth. Once upon a time, in a sunlit village bordered by golden grasses and towering acacia trees, lived a bright-eyed girl named Amina. She was known far and wide for her laughter, which rang like the chime of bells, and the special thing about her that set her apart from the other children, her hair. From the moment she could crawl, her hair grew thick and luscious, cascading down her back like a shimmering river. As she celebrated her 13th birthday, it seemed splendid, curling and flowing like the winding paths that led through the village. However, no one could have predicted just how extraordinary her hair would become. On the morning of her birthday, Amina could hardly contain her excitement. She rushed out of her family's clay hut, her hair bouncing with every step, beads glimmering in the sunlight. The village stirred awake with the sounds of clucking chickens and laughter as children prepared for a day filled with games and festivities. Amina's heart danced to the rhythm of the village, where every face was familiar, and each smile embraced her as if she were wrapped in warm sunlight. "Happy birthday, Amina," her friend Juma shouted, carrying a handful of brightly colored flowers. "You look beautiful, but your hair seems to have a life of its own." Amina grinned widely as Juma approached, the petals spilling in his hands like confetti. "What can I say? It must be the magic of the day," she replied, twirling around to let her hair swirl in the breeze. As the sun climbed higher, the villagers began preparing for the celebrations ahead. Amina joined her grandmother in the garden, where vibrant flowers bloomed beside well-tended herbs. The elder woman's hands, lined with the wisdom of years, lovingly plucked herbs for the traditional feast. Amina leaned against her grandmother, laughter bubbling like a spring. "Grandma, you should see how many people are amazed at my hair." Her grandmother chuckled, her eyes sparkling with mischief. "Indeed, my dear. But remember, with every gift comes a responsibility. We must honor our heritage." Amina nodded, an electric thrill coursing through her. She felt connected to something greater as she remembered the stories her grandmother told. Tales of women who wore their hair long, embodying strength, freedom, and wisdom. Inspired, Amina dreamed of the day her hair would not only flow, but tell the stories of their ancestors. At midday, the village came alive with laughter, drumming, and dancing. Colorful decorations draped from every hut, and a feast of fragrant spices filled the air. Amina joined in the festivities, twirling and spinning, each dance move creating a joyful ripple in her hair. Yet, as she reveled, she couldn't help but notice the curious looks from the adults who gathered nearby. As dusk settled over the village, the celebration grew more vibrant. But Amina started to feel a knot in her stomach. The beauty of her hair, once a source of pride, began to feel like a spotlight on her. She overheard whispered comments. "Is it too much? How does she manage it? What if it grows out of control?" Feeling overwhelmed, Amina silently slipped away from the festivities. Finding solace beneath the sprawling branches of an ancient baobab tree, she drew in a deep breath. The bark felt rough against her back, offering her a solid reminder of the strength held within her roots. A gentle breeze danced through her hair, calming her trembling spirit. "Why does it have to grow so fast?" she whispered to the trees, feeling like an outsider in her own skin. "What if it brings me trouble instead of honor?" Just then, Mama Zuri approached, her presence serene and comforting. She took a seat beside Amina and, without a word, placed a hand on Amina's knee. "Sometimes, the gift you have might just be the beginning of a journey," Mama Zuri said, her voice hushed, as though sharing a secret. "What do you mean?" Amina asked, glancing up at the wise woman whose silver hair shimmered in the fading light. "Your hair is not just a symbol of beauty. It carries the stories of generations before you. If you embrace it, it will become your strength. But it will take understanding and love," Mama Zuri replied thoughtfully. Amina listened closely, her heart filling with warmth. What began as a burden in her eyes was now being transformed into an emblem of her heritage. In that moment, she felt a flicker of hope igniting within her. "Thank you, Mama Zuri. I will try to be brave," Amina said, her voice steady. As the village celebrated late into the night, Amina rejoined her friends, her head held high. The weight of her hair no longer felt like a shadow but rather an extension of her spirit. And through the laughter, the music, and the glowing warmth of a community that loved her, Amina began to realize that perhaps her greatest story was only just beginning. Tangled and beautiful, much like her very own hair. Whispers of wisdom. Amina awoke the next morning feeling rejuvenated, her heart still warm from the celebrations of her birthday. The village was alive with sounds and scents. The melody of birdsong wafted through her window, promising a new day filled with possibilities. Stretching her arms wide, she caught a glimpse of her magnificent hair cascading over her shoulders, the vibrant beads shimmering like tiny stars. As she dressed, Amina recalled Mama Zuri's words from the night before. Her heart danced at the thought of embracing her unique gift, but uncertainty still lingered like a whisper in the wind. Should she really see her hair as a source of strength? What if it brought more trouble instead of honor? With these questions underpinning her thoughts, she pushed herself to join the village activities, determined to face the day with a spirit of adventure. Outside, the villagers were busily tending to their chores. Women carried baskets filled with fresh produce, while men prepared for their day's work in the fields. Amina's grandmother made her way to the community center, where the elders often gathered to share stories and advice. Eager for answers, Amina hurried after her. "Grandma," she called out, running to catch up to her. "Can I help you today?" Her grandmother turned, a warm smile lighting up her face. "Of course, dear. Today is a special day, not just because of your birthday. It's time for the Council of Elders to gather, and you can help me gather the herbs for their meetings." As they walked side by side through the garden, Amina's heart fluttered. "What will they talk about?" she asked, curiously tugging at the ends of her flowing hair. "The council shares wisdom with the community, especially about our traditions and how we can better honor them," her grandmother replied, her voice soothing like a gentle breeze. "Come now, help me with the mint." As Amina knelt beside her grandmother, the earthy scent of fresh herbs enveloped her, mingling with the sweetness of blooming flowers. Amina marveled at how her grandmother moved with grace and confidence, seemingly knowing every plant and its purpose. "Grandma, can you tell me more about hair?" Amina asked, carefully harvesting the soft green sprigs. "Why does it hold such importance in our culture?" Her grandmother paused, looking deep into Amina's eyes as if peering into her very soul. "Child, our hair tells the stories of who we are. It links us to our ancestors, to the land, and to our identity. As women, we adorn our hair in ways that represent our wisdom, our strength, and our journeys." Amina's thoughts drifted to Mama Zuri's wisdom, the image of her silver hair telling a different story. "Does hair mean the same for men?" she inquired, her curiosity prickling. "Indeed," her grandmother replied, weaving a sprig of mint through her fingers. "Every person brings their tale through their hair. The way it is worn, the styles we choose. It reflects our courage, our struggles, and our love. But remember, it is not just the hair itself, it's how we carry our stories." Amina pondered this, feeling the weight of her own story resting like a crown atop her head. Could she carry it with pride? Just then, as they finished gathering the herbs, the sound of drums echoed in the distance, calling the villagers to the council meeting. A sense of excitement washed over her. As they approached the shaded gathering area, Amina's heartbeat quickened. The elders, clothed in vibrant wraps, sat beneath the sprawling limbs of an ancient baobab tree, its gnarled roots entwining with the earth like the intertwined lives of the villagers. Amina's grandmother took a place beside Mama Zuri, beckoning Amina to sit near her. Amina observed the elder women adorned in intricate braids, their silver hair reflecting the sun's rays, each visible strand echoing a lifetime of choices and experiences. In this sacred space, the air seemed infused with the essence of shared stories and ancient wisdom. Mama Zuri began to speak, her voice strong yet gentle. "Listen closely, children and adults alike. Today, we share our wisdom, but we also remember what connects us all. Each story we share strengthens our unity in this village, as it is our shared histories that define who we are." As Mama Zuri spoke, Amina felt an unexplainable heat rise in her chest. The gathering of voices mixed harmoniously, creating a sense of community that blanketed her in belonging. She felt as if the elders were weaving the stories of her ancestors into threads that were now part of the fabric of her own being. "Mama Zuri," Amina called out when there was a lull. The elder turned to her, her wise eyes sparkling with encouragement. "Can I share a story about my hair? I've been learning how it carries my identity." Everyone turned to listen, the air thickening with anticipation. Heart racing, Amina took a breath and felt a surge of courage. My hair grew so fast it became a source of bother, but my grandmother, she paused, placing her hand on her chest, taking strength from her family. She taught me that my hair tells a story. It connects me to who I am, my past, and everyone I love. A tranquil silence enveloped the gathering before soft claps erupted, the elders nodding appreciatively. Amina's heart soared as she realized her story not only belonged to her but was a thread in the intricate tapestry of her village. Mama Zuri smiled, and in that moment, Amina understood that her hair was a gift, and embracing it was her decision alone. It did not merely signify how she looked, it signified her place and identity within a world layered with stories, a world that was hers to cherish and uncover. And so, with newfound determination, Amina felt ready to face the challenges ahead. With the wisdom of her family and her community at her side, she knew she could embrace her extraordinary growth and the transformations that awaited her journey. A tangle of trouble. The sun rose brightly over the village, casting golden rays that danced across the landscape. Amina awoke, filled with excitement for the day ahead. After sharing her story at the council meeting, she felt a newfound sense of belonging and purpose. Her hair, once a source of embarrassment, now felt like a crown of pride. As she stood before the mirror, she admired her reflection, running her fingers through the gleaming tresses, ready to embrace whatever adventures awaited her. After breakfast, Amina met Juma near the old baobab tree, where they often played. Juma was already there, tossing small pebbles into the river and laughing as they splashed against the water. "You're looking especially royal today," he exclaimed, gesturing to Amina's flowing hair adorned with colorful beads. She beamed at his compliment. "Thank you. I feel like a queen," Amina replied, twirling around to let her hair swirl dramatically. "Mama Zuri said our hair tells a story, and I intend to share mine through every adventure." "Well," Juma said with a grin, "then let's have an adventure. Perhaps we can explore the thorny thickets to find fireflies for tonight's festivals." Amina's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "Let's do it." As they ventured to the outskirts of the village, the scenery shifted into lush greenery interspersed with wildflowers. Vibrant colors danced around them, and the air smelled sweet with late blooms. Amina felt invigorated, her worries fading with each step. However, as they approached the thickets, she recalled Mama Zuri's words about the importance of respect and awareness of their surroundings. "We should be careful," Amina warned. Juma nodded but couldn't help his eagerness. What could possibly go wrong? As they crawled deeper into the thickets, the lush foliage became thicker, and Amina's hair began to snag on the thorns, pulling at her scalp. "Ow!" she exclaimed, stopping in her tracks. "I think my hair is getting caught." She reached back to free her tangled locks, but the more she twisted, the more ensnared she became. Juma turned to help, but soon found his fingers caught in the thick strands as well. "Amina, this is, ouch!" he exclaimed, yanking his hand free only to get caught again. "Ah, this is turning into a disaster," Amina cried, trying to twist her head to find a way out. "Why did I think this was a good idea?" "Let's just think for a moment," Juma suggested, a hint of laughter in his voice. "Seems like your hair has a mind of its own today." They both burst into laughter, the sound ringing through the thickets like music, though Amina felt a hint of frustration beneath her amusement. After several failed attempts to untangle themselves, they stopped and sat on the ground in defeat, breathing heavily. "What do we do now?" Amina asked, her heart pounding, not only from exertion but from a creeping sense of panic. "What if we're stuck here forever?" Juma placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We won't get stuck. Just like we learned from Mama Zuri, every problem has a solution. We just need to be creatives." Amina took a deep breath and looked around, focusing on their surroundings. As she did, a small idea sparked in her mind. "What if I use some of these twigs to weave my hair into a secure braid? It might help keep it from getting tangled." Juma's eyes lit up with eagerness. "Brilliant. And I can help you with it." Carefully, the two of them started to gather small, thin twigs that lay on the ground. With Juma's fingers deftly working on one side and Amina managing the other, they began to braid her hair, entwining it with the twigs. After minutes of focused effort, they succeeded in creating an intricate, secure braid that hugged her head. Amina's heart lifted. "Look at this. It's beautiful," she said, examining their handiwork. "Now, we're on our way to becoming true pioneers," Juma said, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "Let's continue our adventure." Just then, as they prepared to trek deeper into the thicket, a loud rustling noise emerged from the brush nearby. Both children froze, exchanging startled glances. "What was that?" Amina whispered, her bravado deflating. "I don't know. Maybe a wild animal," Juma said, his voice trembling slightly. Suddenly, a mischievous monkey sprang out from the nearby branches, chattering excitedly. It darted toward them, its beady eyes gleaming with curiosity. Amina felt the tension lift, and they both burst into laughter again, realizing that they were safe. "See," Juma chuckled. "Nothing to be scared of. Just a little troublemaker like us." As the monkey danced around them, Amina found herself caught up in the joyous moment. "We faced a tangle of trouble, but it just made it more fun," she said, her spirit soaring. After frolicking with their new friend, Amina realized once again how her hair, once a source of anxiety, had transformed into a catalyst for connection and laughter. She could see now that challenges often brought growth and friendship. As the sun began to dip low in the sky, casting specks of gold into the thickets, Amina and Juma decided it was time to head back. "Let's collect fireflies tomorrow," Amina suggested as they began their journey home. "I'll be sure to keep my hair braided." Juma laughed and agreed, each step lightened by the promise of what was to come. In her heart, Amina understood that every twist and turn, every tangle encountered, was just part of her story, one that she would embrace with courage, laughter, and the wisdom that echoed through the ages. She felt ready to celebrate every moment, tangled or not, and she couldn't wait to discover the next adventure awaiting her. Braids of tradition. Amina awoke the following morning, sunlight streaming through her window in golden shafts. The events of the previous day echoed in her mind, along with the playful antics of the mischievous monkey. As she brushed her hair, she smiled at her reflection, remembering how her latest adventure had turned into a bonding experience with Juma. But today, as she looked at her untamed hair piled atop her head, a new sense of anticipation enveloped her. Today was the day her grandmother had promised to teach her the art of braiding, a skill deeply rooted in their family tradition. Amina felt a ripple of excitement pulse through her as she thought about the patterns she could create, intertwining her hair with the stories of her ancestors. "Grandma," Amina called out as she dashed into the kitchen, where the comforting aroma of simmering porridge filled the air. Her grandmother leaned against the counter, stirring a pot with careful attention, her silver hair cascading beautifully like a river down her back. "Good morning, my child. Are you ready to learn?" her grandmother replied, her eyes glinting with warmth. "Yes. I can't wait to start," Amina bubbled, her heart fluttering with anticipation. After breakfast, they settled outside under the shade of a sprawling mango tree in their front yard. The gentle breeze rustled the leaves, creating a soft melody around them. Amina's grandmother brought out a woven basket filled with colorful ribbons and flowers that could be woven into braids. "Hair braiding is more than just a style," her grandmother began, her expression turning serious yet tender. "Each braid can carry a memory, a lesson, or a connection to our ancestors. We must honor the stories we weave." As she spoke, Amina felt the weight of those words, a call to embrace her roots. "What kind of stories can we tell?" Amina asked, eager to learn more. "Every twist and turn in a braid can tell of resilience, joy, or challenges overcome. For instance, this is a 3-strand braid," her grandmother explained, demonstrating the over and under motion with swift fingers. "We'll start with that. It symbolizes strength found in unity." Amina watched closely, her grandmother's hands gracefully moving like a dance. With her heart pounding, she imagined the journey ahead, one where she could create her own stories through her hair. "Now it's your turn," her grandmother encouraged, handing Amina a handful of her own hair. "Start slow. Feel the strands between your fingers." As Amina began to braid, her fingers got tangled, and frustration bubbled within her. "Why is this so hard?" she sighed, a frown forming on her brow. "I can't seem to get it right." Her grandmother smiled gently, placing a reassuring hand on Amina's back. Patience, dear. Just as in life, not everything is easy at first. Take a breath and remember, she said softly. Every braid we create is a connection and a story worth telling. Taking a deep breath, Amina closed her eyes briefly, recalling the tales shared by Mama Zuri at the council meeting and the laughter she had shared with Juma. She opened her eyes and tried again, focusing on the rhythm of her movements. Little by little, the strands began to come together. A sense of pride filled her chest as she looked down at the small braid taking shape in her hands. It wasn't perfect, but the effort was evident. Amina felt the braid embody her spirit, unique and beautifully woven. "Look, Grandma, what do you think?" she exclaimed, turning to her grandmother with a beaming smile. Her grandmother inspected the braid, her eyes glimmering with pride. "It's beautiful, Amina. And it's just the beginning. Every braid will grow and change as you do." With renewed determination, Amina spent the afternoon learning various styles and techniques. Her grandmother showed her how to incorporate colorful ribbons and flowers into her braids, transforming them into artful expressions of identity. As they worked together, Amina felt the stories of their heritage unfurling within her, enriching her understanding of herself. "Can we do a traditional braid for the festival tonight?" Amina asked, a spark of excitement lighting her eyes. "I want everyone to see the story woven in my hair." "Absolutely. Tonight, we will braid a festival crown that tells the world who you are," her grandmother replied, her enthusiasm mirroring Amina's. "This crown will represent your journey, your struggles, and the pride we carry as a family." As evening approached, Amina rushed to gather flowers from their garden, picking vibrant blossoms that seemed to sing beneath her touch. She gathered hibiscus, marigold, and plumeria, dreaming of how beautifully they would adorn her crown braid. By the time the sun began to dip, casting the sky in hues of orange and pink, Amina and her grandmother were skillfully braiding together. Each twist and weave of hair was accompanied by stories of their ancestors, of strong women who had faced adversity and thrived. "I never imagined braiding could be so meaningful," Amina said as she added the last flower to her braid, glancing in the mirror to admire her creation, a gorgeous crown of her heritage. "Remember, my dearest," her grandmother said, brushing a strand of hair gently behind Amina's ear. "Your journey will always be intertwined with those who came before you, guiding you in your own stories." As they finished, Amina felt an overwhelming wave of emotion wash over her. She had transformed her tresses into a tapestry of tales, a connection to her past that she could proudly wear. That evening, as the stars began to twinkle overhead, Amina stepped out to join her family and friends in the village square. The beauty of the festival awaited her, and she felt ready to embrace not only the celebration but the journey of her identity, braided with love, stories, and traditions passed down through generations. With her festival crown shining brightly, Amina beamed with pride, knowing that every story carried in her hair was now a beacon, inviting others to honor their journeys too. It was a celebration of unity, a blend of heritage and personal growth, and with every step, she felt more connected to the unfolding narrative of her life. An unlikely friendship. The festival night glimmered in vibrant hues, illuminating the village square as laughter and music filled the air. Everywhere Amina turned, she saw joyful faces adorned with colorful clothing and dances that embraced the rhythm of life. The decorations hung from every hut, and the sweet scent of roasted corn wafted around her, tantalizing her senses. Dressed in her striking festival crown, Amina felt the weight of her heritage resting elegantly upon her head. It was a tangible representation of her journey and the lessons learned over the past few days. As she stepped out into the crowd, people greeted her with warm smiles and nods of appreciation, but Amina couldn't shake the feeling of wanting to be closer to someone who truly understood her transformation. Amid the celebration, the music swelled and twinkled, creating waves of excitement that beckoned everyone closer. Amina searched for Juma, her adventurous friend, hoping he would share this moment with her. Spying him near the drum circle, hand clapping along to the beat, her heart soared. She made her way through the gathering, weaving between people busy in revelry. "Juma," she called out, her excitement bubbling as she reached him. He turned, his grin wide and unfaltering. "Amina, look at you. That crown is magnificent. You look like the queen of the night." Amina laughed, her cheeks flushing with joy. Thank you. I learned to braid from Grandma today, and we combined our stories into this crown. It makes me feel connected. Juma's eyes sparkled with admiration. You must teach me those braids. I can't wait to impress everyone with my new skills. But before Amina could respond, a loud crash interrupted the festivities. A table covered in treats tipped over, a cascade of pastries scattering across the ground. Tension rippled through the crowd as they turned to see what had happened. Amina, startled, moved forward to investigate. There, amidst the fallen goods, stood a young boy with tears welling in his eyes. A boy she recognized as Kato, the village orphan. He was known for his wild, unkempt hair and often appeared withdrawn, slipping through the village without drawing attention to himself. At that moment, he looked utterly defeated. Sorry. I didn't mean to, he mumbled, staring at the spilled tartlets as they squished into the dust. Amina felt a knot tighten in her stomach. She approached him slowly, trying to gauge his feelings. Kato, it's okay. Accidents happen to everyone, she said gently. We can help clean it up. The boy looked up in surprise, hesitant. You don't have to. I can just go, he trailed off, his voice trailing away as he turned to leave. Wait. Amina called after him, feeling a surge of empathy. We can all work together. No one will mind. Juma moved closer to Amina, observing the scene. You know, Kato, there are still plenty of delicious pastries left, he said with a serious expression. This is the best time to enjoy them. Hesitating, Kato looked between Amina and Juma. Feeling the warmth of their sincere intentions, he reluctantly stepped back closer to where they were kneeling. We can pick up what we can and still enjoy the festival, Amina affirmed, and together, they began gathering the bits of pastry from the ground. Kato joined in, his initial sadness evolving into cautious camaraderie as he began to smile, albeit shyly. With every piece they rescued, laughter broke through the heaviness of the moment. Juma teased Kato about his messy hair, saying, with a bit of effort, you could have the best crown here too. The unexpected humor broke the ice, and Kato felt the weight on his shoulders begin to lift. I just wish it could be easier, he admitted softly, glancing down at the remaining pastries. It can be with friends, Amina reassured him as she finished picking up what she could. Would you like to join us? You don't have to do anything alone. As if noticing the lightness of the moment, Kato glanced up, considering it. An ember of warmth flickered in his heart. Friends? He echoed, his voice barely above a whisper. Yes. Juma chimed in, already forming a plan. Let's dance together after we finish cleaning up. A bit of fun will turn this night around. Kato looked at them, uncertainty still dancing behind his eyes. Really? You want me to join? Of course. Amina said brightly. We're all a part of this village. Everyone's welcome. Slowly, Kato's smile returned at Amina's encouragement. With newfound confidence, he was beginning to feel a sense of belonging. The remaining pastries were forgotten as the three of them swept the area clean together, laughter beginning to weave connections. Once the task was done, Amina led Kato and Juma back to the pulsating heart of the festival. The drums beat strong, and people danced in flowing, swirling patterns, creating a sea of color. Amina felt the music invoke a sense of connection that had been missing. In that moment, the barriers began to dissolve. Kato stepped onto the dance floor with Amina and Juma, feeling the rhythm of the village flow through him like magic. Together, they swayed and twirled, their laughter bringing forth a beautiful harmony, a connection that transcended their differences and individual struggles. As sweat glistened on their foreheads, Amina realized that today's unexpected tangle of trouble had sparked an unlikely friendship, weaving her story with Kato's. Together, they were creating a collective narrative that would last far beyond the festival night, a bond rooted in empathy and joy. The music played on, and as the stars twinkled brightly overhead, Amina's heart filled with warmth. She understood that every friendship held the potential to grow branches upward and create a canopy of support. In this moment of shared joy and connection, her journey became richer, intertwined with the stories of those around her. The echo of laughter. The vibrant festival spilled into the evening, and the village square transformed into a lively tapestry of dancing, music, and laughter. Amina felt a warmth in her heart as she reveled in the joyous atmosphere, surrounded by friends old and new. Colors whirled around her, and the air pulsed with energy that made her feel alive. As she danced beside Juma and Kato, the rhythm propelled them into a whirlwind of movement. Juma's laughter, bright and infectious, beckoned Amina to join in a particularly lively dance. Kato, who initially felt shy, was gradually drawn into the energy, finding himself swept up in the moment. Amina glanced at Kato, watching as the corners of his lips curled upward in excitement. His earlier uncertainty faded as he began to feel the rhythm of the village. Amina felt a surge of happiness. She wanted Kato to experience the joy of friendship and belonging. "Come on, Kato. You can do it," Amina encouraged, gesturing for him to let loose. With each sway and clap of the hands, their connection deepened, transforming an evening once colored by embarrassment into one of celebration. Kato took a deep breath and allowed himself to dance. Slowly at first, unsure of his movements, but as the drums beat louder, a fire ignited within him. The three children formed a circle, and as their feet moved in unison, laughter erupted around them, mingling with the music and creating a melodious symphony of friendship. Fatima, a wiry girl from the village known for her quick wit, joined them, her laughter ringing out like the proverbial bell. "You boys dance like you're trying to outrun a lion," she teased, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Juma laughed, feigning horror. "If I'm running, I'd better win that race," he declared, taking off in an exaggerated sprint, prompting everyone to chase after him. Amina and Kato shared a knowing glance before breaking into laughter, following Juma into the crowd. The spontaneity of it all tugged at the heartstrings, making every moment feel timeless. With their joy echoing through the village, they encouraged more children to join the fray, creating an ever-growing group of friends. As the chase continued, they ended at the bonfire in the center of the square where villagers gathered. The light danced around them, creating flickering shadows as smoke curled upward into the night sky. The warm glow wrapped around Amina like a comforting blanket. "Let's tell stories around the fire," Juma proposed, plopping down onto the ground, his breath taken from laughter. The others began to gather in a circle, and Kato sat beside Amina, his face illuminated by the flames. "If we're telling stories, I want to go first," Kato said, a flicker of confidence sparking in his eyes. It took Amina by surprise, but she smiled encouragingly. "What's the story about?" Amina asked, excited to hear what he would share. With a comfortable sigh, Kato began. "Once, in a dense jungle, there lived a small monkey. He was always scared to join the other monkeys because he thought they would tease him for being a bit smaller. One day, while watching them play, he saw a mother lioness with her cubs. When the cubs strayed too far from her, the mother called for them, and they ran back to her with joy." His voice grew animated as he continued, drawing in the audience. The little monkey realized that even the mightiest of creatures cared for one another. Gathering all his courage, he ventured out and joined the others. Instead of mockery, he received friendship and laughter, and from that day on, he never felt alone again. Amina felt warmth expand in her heart at Kato's tale. His story resonated deeply, mirroring his own journey toward acceptance. She glanced around to see everyone captivated by the narrative, their faces glowing with the fire's flicker. "That was beautiful," Amina said gently, meeting Kato's gaze. He looked flushed with pride, and she wished he could see the spark of bravery that shone through him. "All right, who's next?" Fatima chimed, raising her hand. "Let me tell you about the time I mistakenly joined a group of goats on a wandering expedition." Her story unfolded with comedic twists, filling the circle with peals of laughter that rang out to the stars above. As more stories emerged, Amina found herself drawn into the whirlpool of warmth that circled the fire. This sense of community echoed her heart's deepest desire. They shared tales of adventures, mishaps, and dreams, each story stringing together a beautiful tapestry of connection and laughter. When it was her turn, Amina took a deep breath. "I'd like to share a story about my hair," she began, feeling the significance of her crown and the journey she had traveled. "For a long time, I thought it was just a burden. But I realized it carries the stories of my family, just like Kato's monkey, and it connects me to all of you, my friends." Her words flowed like a river as she spoke about the lessons learned, the friendships formed, and how every braid symbolized her heritage. She felt the connection deepen among the group, intertwining their identities through both laughter and vulnerabilities. "That's so cool," Juma exclaimed, clapping his hands excitedly. "Your hair is basically a book of stories just waiting for the next chapter. We're so lucky to be part of it." As the night edged toward its end, a renewed energy pulsed through their circle, a patchwork of laughter and shared experiences. The echoes of their voices mixed with the sounds of drumming, wrapping around the village in a harmony that was nothing short of magical. As the bonfire crackled low, Amina felt a sense of belonging wrap itself around her tightly. She looked at her friends, Kato, Juma, Fatima, all lost in joy and mirth, and she realized something profound: each individual contributes their uniqueness to the collective experience of life. They were no longer just a group of children, they were a family woven together by laughter, stories, and shared dreams. With hearts aglow and spirits lifted, Amina knew their friendship would withstand any challenge, just as the strength of each braid in her hair would support her journey. The festival night faded into cherished memories, yet the echo of laughter rang on, a sweet reminder of the beautiful bonds formed beneath the blanket of stars. As the festival drew to a close, Amina smiled, ready to greet whatever adventures lay ahead. Together, they had concocted magic through their tales, and she couldn't wait to write the next chapter. A storm approaches. The village basked in the warmth of the sun for days after the festival, everyone buoyed by the shared laughter and stories. With school days resumed, Amina and her friends, Juma, Kato, and Fatima, spent the afternoons exploring the edges of the savannah near the riverbank. The air was fragrant with the sweet scent of blooming wildflowers, and their playful banter echoed under the blue sky. One sunny afternoon, however, ominous clouds gathered on the horizon, darkening the once clear sky. The cheerful light began to fade, and a silent shift in the atmosphere whispered hints of a coming storm. Amina glanced at Kato, who stared up at the clouds with the same apprehension reflected in her heart. "Do you think it will really rain?" Juma asked, squinting against the sun's retreating rays. Kato shrugged, his brow wrinkled with concern. "I hope it stays away. I don't like storms. They scare me. Come on. It's just rain. We can still play in the puddles," Fatima interjected brightly, ever the optimist. "We can make paper boats and race them." Amina loved how the light-hearted banter warmed their friendship even in the face of uncertainty. "I think I'd like to try that," she mused, feeling the slight chill in the breeze. Still, something gnawed at her. The day had been too vibrant for such dark clouds to loom. As they gathered near the edge of the savannah, the first droplet of rain splattered on Amina's nose, sending a shiver of surprise down her spine. She looked at her friends, the sky darkening by the moment. "Okay, maybe we should find shelter," Amina suggested, her voice tighter than she intended. "I'm not sure this is just a light rain." The group hurriedly made their way to a nearby grove of trees. As they ducked under the thick foliage, the heavens opened, pouring rain down in heavy sheets. The sound was deafening, a rhythmic drumming that filled the air with tension. "Why does it always feel like the sky is angry?" Kato asked, clutching a branch like a lifeline. Fatima shrugged, her expression a mixture of awe and fear. "I think the rain just wants to make a big entrance." Amina listened, the pounding of the rain almost drowning out her thoughts. With every rumble of thunder, her heart raced. She had never feared storms, yet this one felt different. The air was charged with energy, and the wind whipped around them with an intensity that rattled the trees. Suddenly, a blinding flash of lightning split the sky. Amina yelped, heart racing as the thunder echoed immediately after, shaking the ground beneath them. Kato recoiled, pressing himself against the trunk, while Juma made an effort to lighten the mood, laughing nervously. "Look! Nature's fireworks." "A fireworks show for sure, but let's hope it doesn't get worse," Amina replied, trying to sound brave despite the dread building within her. As the winds picked up, Amina noticed the branches swaying violently. She felt an instinctive urge to protect her friends. "We should move further in away from the tree branches. Lightning can be unpredictable." The group retreated deeper into the grove, huddling together as the storm raged on. They held on to one another, their bond palpable amid the chaos of nature swirling outside. "Let's sing. It will keep us calm," Fatima suggested, her voice barely audible above the din of the storm. Kato hesitated, eyes wide. What if the storm gets worse? Singing won't help if we need to run. But Amina, finding strength in their togetherness, steadied her voice. "It will distract us," she encouraged. "We'll be okay." Juma cleared his throat. "Okay then. How about we sing one of the village songs?" As they began to sing, they found power in the rhythm of their voices. It resonated with the rain, creating an odd harmony that made them feel alive even in the heart of the storm. With each note exchanged, uncertainty began to fade, replaced by the warmth of companionship. Amid their song, Amina caught a glimpse of Kato peering through the leaves at the raging storm. She watched as he gripped a branch tightly, his stress evident despite the melodies they wove together. "Hey Kato," Amina said softly, lowering her voice so it felt almost like a secret. "Are you feeling okay?" He turned to her, eyes glistening with fear. "I don't like storms. They remind me of when I lost everything," he admitted, his voice barely a whisper. Amina felt a pang in her heart as she listened. "Kato, you're not alone anymore. We're all here together, right?" His gaze shifted from the storm back to her reassuring smile. "Yeah, and I guess that makes it better," he said, his voice wavering but resolute. With the rain intensifying outside, their song became a refuge, a shield against the storm raging above. Amina felt a surge of strength coursing through her, fueled by the connections they were building. Though the storm screamed its fury overhead, Amina realized that even nature's chaos couldn't dampen the spirit of their friendship. With every note they sang, they created an echo of laughter that bound them closer. A melody they would carry with them, a reminder that love and support can bring light even in the darkest of moments. Finally, just as the storm seemed unending, there was a lull in the rain. Tentatively, they peeked outside. The clouds began to drift apart, revealing glimpses of the sun, casting a warm light on the aftermath. "Look, the sun!" Fatima cheered, eyes sparkling with awe. As the storm faded into memory, Amina took a deep breath, feeling the damp yet fresh air wrap around her. "We did it. Together," she said. In that moment, Amina recognized the power of friendship and unity, understanding that storms might come and go, but the bonds they forged would weather any tempest. They emerged from the grove hand in hand, laughter echoing through the air, a joyful counterpoint to the storm that had just passed. Secure in the knowledge that together they could face anything, Amina glanced up at the clearing sky, ready to embrace the adventures yet to come with her newfound strength and friends by her side. The wisdom of the wild. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows across the village as morning light filtered through the trees. Amina felt invigorated after the storm, the air crisp and fresh, and she breathed in deeply, savoring the earthy scent of damp grass. Today promised to be different. The wilds beckoned her with a sense of excitement she could hardly contain. She had gathered Juma, Kato, and Fatima, eager to resume their adventures and explore what lay beyond the familiar paths they had trodden. "I want to show you something special," Amina announced, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Let's go to the old riverbank." "What's special about it?" Kato asked, fingers drumming nervously against his thigh. Amina gave him an encouraging smile. "It's a secret place, filled with beautiful things. You'll see. Besides, the river always has stories to tell." They set off down the well-trodden path toward the river, laughter trailing behind them like the notes of a song. As they walked, Amina shared snippets of tales her grandmother told her about the land, the spirits that inhabited the woods, the lessons learned from nature, and the wisdom that came from listening to the wind. "Did you know that when the wind whispers through the trees, it carries messages?" Amina explained. "You can learn so much from the world around you if you just pay attention." "Messages from the trees?" Juma chuckled. "Sounds like something from a fairy tales." "Maybe it is," Amina replied playfully. "But I love those tales, and they always seem to hold some truth. Just look around, you can learn from everything's." As they ventured further, the forest began to change. Tall trunks soared toward the sky, their leaves creating a dance of light and shadow on the forest floor. Amina paused, taking in the serene beauty that surrounded them. "Wait," Amina said, spotting a vibrant grove of wildflowers. "Look, these are not just pretty, they're a source of food for bees and other creatures. We can learn about nature's balance here." The friends moved closer, examining the petals in awe. Kato bent down to inspect a delicate butterfly as it landed softly. "It's beautiful," he exclaimed, eyes alight with wonder. "Every flower and every creature has a story," Amina continued. "Together, they remind us how everything is connected. Nature balances itself through cooperation, just like we do in our friendships." As they neared the riverbank, the sound of rushing water filled their ears, a soothing melody that enveloped them like a gentle hug. Amina led her friends toward the banks, where the shimmering water sparkled like diamonds in the sun. "Here we are," Amina announced triumphantly, spreading her arms wide. "This is my favorite spot." The scene before them was breathtaking. The river wound gracefully through stones and pebbles, inviting them to splash and play. "I never knew it could be so lovely," Fatima exclaimed, her eyes gleaming with excitement. As the children dashed toward the water's edge, Amina felt a sense of peace wrap around her. She tossed her sandals aside, the cool water greeting her toes with a refreshing embrace. "Make sure to keep an eye on each other, and listen to the flow of the river. It teaches patience and understandings." The group splashed and played, laughter mingling with the sound of the river, but Amina took a moment to step back and observe. She reached down to touch the water, feeling its coolness wash over her palms. The patterns of the currents fascinated her, a visual dance of nature's artistry. Suddenly, she recalled her grandmother's tales of the fish that swam upstream, battling against obstacles to reach their spawning grounds. It struck her in that moment just how similar their own journey was. "Hey, do you see those fish?" Amina pointed downstream, as several glimmering shapes darted through the water. "They swim hard against the current for a purpose. Just like us, we must face our challenges so we can grow." "You mean like how you face the challenges of your hair?" Juma teased, splashing Amina playfully. "Exactly," she laughed. "But the point is, we can choose to rise above challenges together. Like those fish, we can help one another." Kato was quiet, absorbing Amina's words. "I guess every journey has its difficulties, huh?" he finally said. "A journey is never without bumps, but it's those experiences that make us who we are," Amina affirmed. "And it's how we learn from them that shapes our path." In that moment, they all sat along the riverbank, immersed in thoughtful reflection. A calm settled around them, and Amina realized that the river had shared its wisdom through the gentle whisper of its current, reminding them of hope, resilience, and connection. As they resumed splashing and teasing one another, Amina knew the river offered more than just a playground. It held the essence of life itself. Just as they were learning to navigate the waters of friendship and the challenges that came with it, the river carried the same journey, a tale of strength in unity. With laughter echoing in the air, Amina felt her heart swell with warmth. It wasn't just the river or the wildflowers, but the bond they were creating that anchored her spirit. Here, surrounded by nature's bounty, they would uncover more than mere stories. They would unveil the profundity of their own intertwined journeys. Ready for whatever lay ahead, Amina smiled broadly. They were more than friends. They were a family woven together by shared experiences and lessons learned from the wisdom of the wild. In that space, she felt a deep-seated confidence grow within her, knowing that each day would continue to teach them more about themselves and each other. Torn threads. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting golden hues over the village and illuminating Amina's journey thus far. With each passing day, she had come to feel more connected to her friends and her own heritage. Yet as summer lingered, Amina felt an undercurrent stirring within her, a sense of uncertainty that swirled around her heart like storm clouds ready to unleash a deluge. Amina sat upon her favorite spot by the riverbank, watching the currents flow and imagining they mirrored her own emotions. She felt vibrant, her hair catching the last rays of sunlight, but beneath that vibrant exterior, a heavy weight lingered, threatening to unravel the joy she had found. "Hey Amina!" Juma called out, bounding along the bank, his energy contagious. Kato and Fatima rushed behind him, laughter trailing like ribbons. They had agreed to meet at the river for their daily adventures, But today, Amina didn't feel quite as adventurous. "Hi guys," Amina replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "What's the plan for today?" "Let's do something fun. I found a perfect spot further upstream. I heard there's a place where the fish jump. We can try to catch some," Juma exclaimed, already pulling Amina toward the path. "Yeah, and we can make a feast," Fatima added, her excitement growing. Kato followed, but his brow was furrowed with concern. "Are you okay, Amina?" Amina hesitated. "I'm fine. It's just," she trailed off, searching for the right words. She didn't want to dampen their spirits. "I think I just feel a little lost today." A chilly gust of wind blew through the trees, weaving between them like a fleeting shadow. "Lost? But we're all here. We can't lose our way together," Juma said cheerfully, trying to lighten the mood. "I know, it just feels like everything is changing so fast," Amina confessed, her voice softening. "I love our time together, but sometimes it makes me uneasy. What if things change between us?" Caught in her whirl of emotions, the color drained from Amina's face. She felt foolish to express such insecurities, yet she knew they were true, like thin threads struggling to hold her tapestry together. Kato, usually quiet, stepped closer. "Things do change. That's life," he said thoughtfully. "But we can choose how we handle it." "Exactly. Look at the river," Juma interjected. "It flows and changes shape all the time, but it's still strong. Even when things get turbulent, it finds a way through." Encouraged by her friend's presence, Amina wanted to believe them. "I guess you're right," she replied, a flicker of hope igniting. "But I can't shake this feeling." Fatima, always quick to offer her trademark enthusiasm, took Amina by the hand. "Then let's go on an adventure. If we catch some fish, we can bring them back and surprise Grandma. She always knows how to make things better, and I bet she can teach us some great recipes." The prospect of an adventure took hold of Amina's worries, tugging at her heart. "Okay, let's go," she said, feeling an ounce of determination seep through her uncertainty. They climbed the embankment and traveled further to where the river danced under fluttering leaves, sparkling like gemstones in the sun. A sense of wonder flickered in Amina's heart as they approached a rocky section where a school of fish leapt into the air, shimmering above the surface in a captivating display. "It's beautiful," Amina gasped, captivated by the spectacle of the fish jumping to catch insects above the water. The worries in her heart began to fade, replaced by awe as she watched nature unfold before her. With an eager cheer, Juma called out, "Let's catch one. Amina, you take the rocks there. Kato and I will stand over here. Fatima, you keep watch. We'll take turns." Excitement and laughter swirled as they took their positions. Amina carefully crept to the edge of the water, eyes focused, heart racing. Fishing was unfamiliar territory for her, and fears of disappointment bubbled under her surface like the water below. Moments turned to hours as they tried to catch fish, but each attempt ended in laughter at their failures. As Amina leaned over a rock to adjust her stance, she felt her hair weave itself loose from its braid, forming strands that cascaded lightly over her shoulder. "Careful!" Kato shouted, trying to help her balance while keeping his feet steady on a slick rock. Amina laughed, her spirit lifting as the others joined in, but the laughter soon turned to gasps when she felt the snag. "Oh no!" Amina exclaimed, feeling the tangled tug painfully at her hair. "Help!" Juma stumbled forward, clearly a bit wobbly on his feet. "Let's just hold still," he said nervously, but as he reached for her hair, the fracture came. With a sudden flick, her hair pulled free, and one of the beautiful ribbons she had woven fell away, slipping gently into the stream. Amina watched as it floated away downstream, the vibrant colors vanishing from sight. For a moment, silence hung heavily, following the ribbon on its journey away from her. Amina's heart dropped. "No, my ribbon," she cried, already feeling that familiar weight in her chest returning, the tear in the fabric of her emotions pulling her down. Kato stepped closer, a gentle hand on her shoulder. "It's okay," he said softly. "It was just a ribbons. But it meant so much. It was part of my story," Amina stammered, blinking back tears. The sudden loss tore at her, and she felt fragmented, her confidence unraveling as quickly as the ribbons disappearing into the flow. Juma knelt beside her. "You're still you. Your story isn't just one ribbon. There's more to it, and that ribbon will always be a part of your journey. Just look at those fish. They keep leaping. They know their stories are bigger than what happens in just one moment." Amina looked into the river, realizing that it was true. The river continued flowing, carrying with it endless stories and experiences. But deep inside, that nagging feeling remained, a tempest of emotions she knew she would have to face. "I know my story isn't done," she sighed, resolving to embrace the changes ahead, even if it terrified her. "But right now I feel torn." Fatima placed her arm around Amina, lending her strength. "We're here. We'll help you gather the pieces, whatever they may be. Just like the river, we'll navigate this together." In an unexpected moment of clarity, Amina took a deep breath, regaining a sense of grounding. Maybe losing one ribbon didn't mean she had lost herself. She still had her friends, her family, and the love that would bind them together no matter the storms they faced. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the water, Amina caught sight of a reflection shimmering back. A glimpse of hope, resilience, and the bonds they created together. In that moment, she resolved to remain steadfast in her journey. Torn threads didn't signify the end, but rather the potential for weaving something new, and that realization ignited a spark of resolve as they prepared to continue their adventure together, side by side. Weaving unity. The morning sun crept up over the horizon, casting a soft golden glow across the village as Amina stood outside her hut, mind whirling with thoughts. The experience by the river lingered like a bittersweet note in her heart, drawing her closer into the threads of her own story. She had felt lost, torn apart by fleeting moments, yet she also felt the tug of something new emerging: strength, unity, and resilience. Today marked the day of the annual village gathering, a celebration meant to weave the community together, sharing stories and forging connections. As laughter and bustling filled the air, Amina felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. She had seen how laughter could unite and bring joy, but today, the significance of coming together weighed on her. In the village square, families prepared dishes, children played, and colorful decorations adorned each home. Amina joined Juma, Kato, and Fatima near the center, where a large braiding circle was forming. Intrigued, she drifted closer to get a good view. "Look at everyone," Fatima said, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "They're all bringing their own stories to this circle. It's so vibrant." Juma grinned, scanning the crowd. "It's like a huge tapestry, each thread representing us. When they come together, they create something beautiful." "You think we can be a part of that tapestry too?" Kato asked, his brows furrowing in thought. "Of course. We're already here together," Amina encouraged, wrapping her arm around Kato's shoulder. "We can each bring our own stories to life. Our friendship is part of this fabric." As they approached the circle, Amina's heart raced. Elders, mothers, and children were weaving together stories, showcasing their accomplishments and dreams. She was suddenly struck by the thought of sharing her own. Her narrative had taken twists and turns, filled with joys and losses, and she now felt ready to add her own voice to the fabric. A tall woman with kind eyes stood at the center, a basket overflowing with colorful threads cradled in her arms. "Welcome, everyone. Like the fabric of our lives, stories connect each of us in great ways. Let's weave together our voices. Who has a story to share?" Eyes darted among the villagers, but no one stepped forward initially. Amina felt a surge of encouragement bubble up within her. This was her opportunity to contribute to the unity of her village. With her breath steadying, Amina raised her hand. "I can share," she called, stepping into the circle. Her friends cheered her on, and villagers turned to face her, curiosity dancing in their eyes. Amina took a deep breath, visions of the river and the lessons learned swirling around her mind like autumn leaves caught in the wind. "My name is Amina," she began, feeling the warmth of the community embrace her. "I have been a part of this village all my life, and I've had many experiences, some that thrilled me and others that challenged me." The crowd listened intently. "Recently, I struggled with feeling lost, like I was being pulled apart by change. I felt like I couldn't quite find my place in the tapestry we all contribute to. She paused, feeling the threads offered by her own experiences intertwining with their stories. A quietly nodding figure in the crowd was Mama Zuri, and Amina found comfort in her presence. And then, Amina continued, her confidence growing, I took the time to learn from the river, the way it flows, bends, and overcomes obstacles. Just like us. We each have unique threads, stories woven in our lives, but together, they create something extraordinary. The villagers exchanged glances, nodding in understanding. Amina felt the weight of her journey behind her words as she recounted how her friendship with Juma, Kato, and Fatima helped strengthen her resolve. We are all connected. Through laughter, challenges, and shared experiences, we weave our unity. Each voice matters, just like every thread. Applause erupted in the circle, and Amina felt her heart swell with pride, the nurturing sensation coursing through her. So today, I invite you to share your stories, bring your threads to the basket. Together, let's create a tapestry of unity. The words hung in the air as villagers lined up, eager to contribute their threads to the woven tale. A resplendent quilt began to take shape, each story adding depth and texture, an enriching reflection of their lives. I want to share how we overcame the drought last year with a community garden, called a woman from the back, her hands moving with enthusiasm. We worked together, planting and watering, and we reaped what we sowed as a united community. The crowd murmured, their excitement palpable as each individual stepped forward, sharing tales of family, of resilience, of dreams unrealized and goals achieved. The circle pulsed with life, a rhythm that echoed with memories and hopes. As each person shared a story, Amina felt a sense of belonging blossom within her. This was what she longed for, a tapestry that intertwined their experiences beautifully, each narrative enriching the fabric of their community. Suddenly, Kato stood up, his cheeks flushed as he stepped into the circle, shaky but determined. Even when it felt hard, he began, voice steadying. I learned a lot from Amina and our adventures. I understand now that though my story is different, it matters too. Amina's heart stirred at the courage it took for Kato to share his voice. The crowd clapped appreciatively, and he continued, his confidence growing with every word. The circle felt buoyed, a camaraderie taking root with shared experiences. As the sun began to sink lower in the sky, the stories collected like treasure, binding everyone together in a tapestry richer than before. The once distant people became a family marked by shared laughter and joy, finding strength in their unity. Amina stood taller, embracing the realization that she was woven into their stories just as her own tale would include them forevermore. The threads of joy and connection wrapped around her like a gentle embrace. As night fell, the gathering illuminated with twinkling lights and the exchange of tales that would forever bind their hearts and minds. With every shared experience, they laid the groundwork for deeper roots, resilience, and a community more vibrant than ever. Together, they had woven unity into the fabric of their lives, a celebration of their connections holding the promise of tomorrow's cherished stories yet to unfold. Amina smiled, knowing that through unity, the tapestry of their village would only continue to grow richer and more beautiful. Hair as heritage. The village hummed with anticipation as the sun rose on the day of the annual cultural celebration. Vibrant decorations adorned every hut, colored fabrics draping elegantly like ribbons, glimmering in the morning light. Amina felt a flutter of excitement in her stomach as she stood before her mirror, observing the festival crown braided meticulously from her hair. Each strand held not only beauty but stories, connecting her to generations of women before her. With beads gently clinking with every movement, Amina stepped into the sunlit courtyard. The sounds of laughter and music floated through the air, mingling with the scent of spices wafting from the kitchen. A sense of purpose stirred inside her. Today would be a day of celebration, not just of cultures but also of identity. As Amina joined Juma, Kato, and Fatima, she noticed that everybody was dressed in bright traditional garb, showcasing their unique heritage. Look at everyone! Fatima exclaimed, her eyes sparkling. I love how our village comes together. Yeah, it's like a rainbow exploded. Juma added, admiring the colorful attire adorned by their friends and neighbors. Kato smiled shyly but felt the warmth of friendship bolstering his confidence. I hope people enjoy our stories." Amina nodded, her excitement bubbling over. "We'll all show them how our stories are woven together, just like our hair. It's time to embrace who we are." The village square was alive with energy when they reached the heart of the celebration. Different groups gathered around, sharing traditional dances, songs, and gusto-filled stories. Each family took turns showcasing their heritage, united by the underlying bond of community. "Let's get a spot up front," Amina shouted over the hubbub, eager to witness as many performances as possible. They navigated through the crowd, planting themselves near the center stage. Amina watched intently as elders began the festivities, reciting tales that were rich with history. Her heart swelled with pride, as she felt her threads of identity tightening like her braid, strong and vibrant. As the first group began their dance, Amina marveled at the intricate movements that told stories of their ancestors. The dancers' bright outfits swirled gracefully, mimicking the colorful history of their village. Each twirl and leap resonated with harmony, and the energy in the crowd grew palpably electric with each heartbeat. As the performances continued, Amina noticed her grandmother standing proudly with Mama Zuri, both women beaming with joy. She felt a gentle nudge inside her heart, a reminder of the legacy of strength they represented. Amina wanted to contribute, to honor their stories through her own. When the applause settled, Mama Zuri stepped up to the microphone, her silver hair catching the sun in a dazzling way. "Today, we celebrate not only our individual cultures but the threads that bind us together," she began. "Each of you carries stories in your hair, in your hearts. Remember that your heritage shapes who you are, and it's your choice to share it with the world." Amina's heart raced. This was her moment. With renewed determination, she stood up and made her way to the stage, all eyes turning toward her as she stepped into the circle. "Hi everyone. I'm Amina," she began, her voice steady despite the butterflies dancing in her stomach. "Today is special to me because I want to share how I've come to cherish my hair as part of my heritage." Watching the crowd ignite with anticipation helped Amina find her rhythm. "For a long time, my hair felt like a burden. But recently, I've learned that it carries my stories of family, resilience, and identity. It connects me to my past, just like the roots of a tree." Smiling, she touched her braided crown. "Each bead in my hair reminds me of my grandmother's teachings. I've also learned from my community that we're part of something larger, woven together like a tapestry. We can embrace our differences and celebrate the threads that unite us." A burst of applause erupted, and Amina felt a rush of warmth embrace her. She continued, finding comfort in her message. "In the past, I feared being different. But as I look around, I see a tapestry of this village. Each person here brings a unique thread, and our differences reflect the beauty within us." With encouragement from her friends, Amina then invited everyone to join her in celebration. "Let's show the world what our heritage means to us, through dance, song, and unity." Fatima jumped up, shouting, "Let's celebrate, everyone. Join us." She extended her hands, beckoning others to dance with them. Gradually, the crowd joined in, laughter and music filling the air as Amina led her friends into an exuberant dance. Together they swirled, their movements fluid like water, reflecting the joy of being rooted in their shared culture. As the beats synced with their hearts, their entire village danced as one, a celebration of diversity, embracing one another's rich histories. Amina felt invincible, her braid representing not just her journey but the strength of her neighbors as well. They danced and twirled under the sun, every heartbeat resonating with the spirit of unity. In that moment, Amina realized that hair, like heritage, was a symbol of connection, telling stories born through generations. A celebration woven together through love, laughter, and spirit. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the village came together once more, embodying the beauty of their differences while recognizing their shared humanity. Amina stood among her friends, heart full, ready to continue cherishing the threads binding them all. Through hair and heritage, they created a story, binding them together with newfound strength, celebrating their colorful tapestry and preparing for adventures yet to come. A tapestry of togetherness. The day after the cultural celebration, a sense of reverberating joy settled over the village like a comforting blanket. The warmth of shared stories lingered in the air, infusing every corner with the vibrant energy that had enveloped the festivities. Amina wandered through the familiar trails, reflecting on the experiences woven into her being, of laughter, unity, and the tales shared among friends and family. As she approached the riverbank, the memory of last night flooded back, the voices rising in triumph, the dance fueled by joy, and the remarkable way they had come together, differing backgrounds blending into one harmonious chorus. Today, the river sparkled in the sunlight, inviting her to explore the connections that had been deepened during the celebrations. Amina spotted her friends waiting for her by the river, their faces lit with the anticipation of another adventure. A sense of excitement crackling in the air. Juma was already tossing stones into the water, sending delicate ripples of interaction through the currents. "Hey, Amina, look at these incredible stones I found," he called, proudly displaying a colorful pebble in his hand. "Those are beautiful, Juma," Amina replied enthusiastically, noting how their time together had transformed their spirits. "I think we should collect more colorful stones, a physical reminder of the stories we've created." Kato perked up at the idea. "Let's make a memory jar. We can fill it with stones, beads, and even messages about our adventures." Fatima clapped her hands together excitedly, her creativity bursting forth. "We can decorate it to show our journey. Each piece can symbolize a part of our friendships." Amina felt a rush of gratitude for the bond they shared, something that had emerged from their journeys and struggles. "Yes. Let's gather what we can. Today will be about celebrating our togetherness and the connections that bring us here." They set off in different directions, exploring the riverbank. Amina inspected the colorful pebbles glistening under the water, feeling an awakened sense of purpose as she picked each one carefully. Each stone represented a memory, a token connecting her to this very place and to her friends. Returning to their gathering spot, they formed a circle, displaying their treasures collected. Stones in shades of blue, green, and amber glowed in the sunlight, intermingling with vibrant beads Fatima had gathered. Juma clasped his hands together in excitement. "Let's arrange them in order," he declared. "Each color can represent a different story." Amina smiled, her fingers brushing against the stones as they began organizing them in a way that felt meaningful. "The blue stones can stand for our laughter, the greens for our adventures, and the amber for the lessons learned," she suggested. Kato picked up a smooth black stone, running his fingers along its surface thoughtfully. "And this one can represent our challenges, the moments when we stood together even when things were tough. It's a part of our story too." As they set each stone in its place, Amina felt the weight of her narrative intertwined with those of her friends, a celebration of resilience layered in hues of their experience. Once the arrangement was complete, they turned their focus to crafting their memory jar. Using a beautifully colored pot that had once belonged to Amina's grandmother, they adorned it with ribbons, leaves, and flowers collected from around the riverbank. Each embellishment bore significance, deepening the connection to the memories they held. "It's beautiful," Fatima cheered, stepping back to admire their creation. "And it's so uniquely ours." "Yes. Just like us," Juma added, his voice ringing with pride. "Tied together by our stories, making something beautiful, just like the tapestry of our lives." As they placed the jar at the center of their gathering, Amina closed her eyes for a moment, letting the peace wrap around her. She could hear the whispers of the river, its melodic flow echoing the stories they had shared, the trials, the laughter, and the strength forged within the bonds of connection. Gathering around their memory jar, the friends linked arms, feeling a profound sense of unity. "Together, we can face anything," Amina declared, filled with a conviction that resonated with everyone gathered. "Every adventure, every discovery enriches us as a family." "We should take this jar to the next village gathering," Kato suggested, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "We can encourage others to create their own memory jars and share their stories." "Yes. We can inspire others, just as we've inspired each other," Amina agreed, mirroring Kato's enthusiasm. As they envisioned their plans, a sense of fulfillment settled over them. The fabric of their friendship felt stronger than ever, woven together in a tapestry of togetherness, a vivid representation of love, laughter, and growth that would carry them forward. As the day slipped into evening, light danced off the river's surface, weaving stories of hope into the horizon. Amina felt a quiet contentment bloom within her. Through tears and laughter, they had emerged as vibrant threads intertwined in their shared journey. Here's to more adventures. Juma raised an imaginary glass, a grin splitting his face. To friendship. Fatima joined in, ever eager to celebrate. To stories that connect us. Kato added, his spirit bright. As their voices mingled with the songs of the river, Amina understood that they were each a vital part of something larger, a community bound by stories, experiences, and the enduring warmth of friendship. The tapestry of their lives continued to be woven, each day bringing new threads to embrace, inspiring one another to explore the world beyond the river, not just as individuals, but as an indelible family forged by the strength of their shared journey.